Hello YouTube. Today I'm just going to be shooting a video on how to upgrade the motors for the Best Choice line of products for the kids' ride-on vehicles. Um, the Power Wheels gearboxes are a lot easier to do this in. It's pretty straightforward, but these Best Choice gearboxes are pretty problematic when you want to upgrade the motors. So we'll pull it apart real quick, take a look inside, and I'll show you the motor that comes out of these gearboxes, which is this guy here. So this is the stock motor that comes in this gearbox, and you'll notice that the pinion gear on it, which is right here, is very, very small. And just in comparison to a Power Wheels motor, you can see how much larger the pinion gear is there. So you've got a lot more room to work with when you upgrade this gear. And this gear here is very, very small, and it's also not a standard pitch when it comes to the teeth on it. So the Power Wheels uses a 32 pitch gear, which is a very standard size, and it's easy to find. So it's very easy to upgrade these gears or replace those gears. But these ones are very difficult to find, and it's not a 32 pitch and it's not a 48 pitch. It's somewhere in between. My best guess is it's metric, and it's a 0.6 mod. Now, I've tried to remove this gear from the shaft, and it was basically impossible. I used a torch, I heated it up cherry red, and I ended up actually just snapping the shaft right out of the motor. Maybe with a pinion puller or something like that, but they're pretty much on there and very, very difficult to remove. So what I would like to do is replace this motor with a better quality motor, and these are pretty nice motors. This is a 27 turn motor, and this motor that is in here doesn't give you a turn rating, but it gives you an RPM rating of 10,000. And a 27 turn at 12 volts should, well, it doesn't really matter the voltage. A 27 turn, based on the research I've done and comparison charts that I've looked at, it should be about twice as fast. A 10,000 RPM motor, this is probably in the range of 40 to 50 turns, which is actually really, really slow. So the gear is problem number one. Problem number two is the actual length of the motor shaft. You can see this shaft here is pretty short, and this shaft here actually comes out all the way to the end, so it's a lot longer. So you can see the difference in length there. And this is a pretty standard motor, so a lot of motors out there will have this shorter shaft on them. So that is problem number two. While we're talking about motors and the Best Choice line of products with the gearboxes, with these gearboxes you basically have to stick to a 550 or a 540 size motor, which is what these are here. These are 550s, because of this plastic ring that the motor slips into. So you're sort of restricted here in the diameter of the can. So if you wanted to try to put like a 775 motor in, it just wouldn't fit. It just wouldn't fit in that sleeve. So you do have to stick with the 550 size motors. So the solution that I've come up with to install this motor here is this right here. This is just a cheap motor that I got off of eBay. It came from China. it's a 30,000 RPM motor, but it comes with two little gears. And this gear here is what is the same gear that is on that motor shaft. I'll just give you a quick view of the skew here. And I'll also put a link in the description below. I would probably try to find it somewhere in the US, because if you order it from a seller in China, you'll be waiting. Like, it took 2.5 weeks for this to get here, and when it came, the packaging was not very good, but I did get it, and nothing was missing, which I was worried that maybe one of the little gears or something would not be there, and the whole point of buying this was not for the motors, was just for that gear. They're about 10 or 12 bucks for this entire set here, so the motor and the two gears is like 10 or $12. So what I'm going to do is take this out of the package, take a closer look at the gear, and then show you how to put this gear onto the motor shaft, because it is a pressed fit. Okay, so I've got the new motor out of the package, and you can see it is a 30,000 RPM motor. It does have that really long motor shaft on it, and then these are the two different gears that you get. I'm assuming this is for some other type of gearbox, and then this smaller one here is the same as what's in this Best Choice Products vehicle. It's a 10-tooth, and you can see that it's actually a little bit longer, which is a good thing, and it does match up perfectly with the pitch and size. So just in comparison, this is actually what I bought originally, thinking that it was a 32 pitch. This is a 32 pitch 10 tooth, and you can see that it's actually a little bit larger. So it's definitely not a 32 pitch. I think that these are, like I said before, I think it's a 0.6 mod, and I've looked and they're nearly impossible to find. The only way I could find it was to buy this motor motor kit, or whatever you want to call it, with the two gears, and it was sort of a shot in the dark, but as best I could tell off the pictures and stuff, it did look the same, and sure enough it is. So the quality on this motor, I mean, you could just buy this 30,000 RPM motor and slap it in, but my guess is that it's not a very quality motor. I mean, you can see right here, like, this little heat sink here is loose, and for 10 bucks plus the pinions, I mean, how good of a motor can it be? So anyway, let us put the new pinion on this Holmes Hobbies motor. Alright, so basically the process is going to be to sort of get it started, and you can see one end of the teeth is tapered and one is flat, and so you're going to put the flat side on first, and what I'm going to do is just use a little bit of Loctite on the shaft. It is a pretty tight fit, and it is a press fit, but I figure it cannot hurt to have a little Loctite on there just to help keep it in place. I'm just going to try to get some Loctite sort of down in the gear a little bit too, and then I'm just going to kind of push it on by hand as much as I can. It's not going to go very far, but just so it's on there, kind of wiggle it around a little bit. Okay, now this is where we got to be a little bit careful, because this motor shaft is shorter So we're going to put it up through and just do sort of a visual on it to see where we're at. So we're going to want to press this gear down until till the top of this is flush with the top of that. So we'll do it, in little increments. We'll push it down a little bit, check it, and go from there. Now when you're doing this, you want the force to come out when you're pushing, or probably we'll just tap it on. So right there is where you want to support the other side of the motor. So what I'm going to do is just put it on this little vise here. So I'm going to have the other end of the motor shaft sort of sitting right on the metal there. Alright, so we're just going to set the motor on the vise, supporting the other end of the motor shaft. And then using a hammer, the smaller the hammer the better. I'm just too lazy to go out to the garage and get a small hammer, but we're just going to ever so slightly just tap it down. You could also, put this in a press or a vise or something like that, but it doesn't take a lot of pressure to get it to go. So we'll put it down a little bit, and now we're going to check. I'm going to check where we're at. And that is actually really, really close. I would strongly recommend just doing a little bit at a time, because if you go too far, it's going to be hard to go the other way. I'm just going to give it like one more tiny little tap. I think we can go just a little more. You want to try to get as much of the motor shaft in the gear as you can, but you also want to get as much contact between the two gears as possible. Alright, that looks good. I'm actually just ever so slightly below. That's okay though. So there you go. Okay, so that is how you would upgrade the motor in one of these gearboxes. I did the other side already, and pending a real-world test, should be good. On the gears, I would also pull all the gears off and then use some type of a decent high-quality grease. This is just what I happen to use on it. But you want to, pull the gears off, re-grease these shafts, and then get a nice liberal amount of grease all the way on all of the gears here, and just kind of, turn it so it works its way all the way around. Basically just re-grease it, Loctite the two screws, button it back up, and you should be good to go. And before you reinstall the gearbox into the vehicle, I would recommend just doing a quick test to make sure that it sounds okay and nothing weird is going on. That direction sounds okay. We'll go the other way. There we go. I have noticed on these gearboxes that one direction sounds smoother than the other direction. I don't know if that's just these particular ones that I have, or if it's just the nature of the design, but either way, They do work and they sound okay to me. So hopefully this video helped. I could not find very much information on YouTube about upgrading these motors. So, or upgrading these gearbox. Yeah, upgrading the motors on these gearboxes. I did pick up a couple little cheap heat sinks, so you know you could get something like this. You know, they basically just clip on. You know, what the heck? Can't hurt, and kind of looks cool. So anyway, that's it for now. Hope this helped. Hope you enjoyed it. And if you have any questions, leave them in the comments below. And hit that like button and subscribe. Thank you very much. Take it easy.